I'm 58, and as a Gen Xer, I grew up in an entirely different world than the one we live in now. No internet, no smartphones, no constant connectivity. But looking back, I don't just feel nostalgic. I feel grateful because growing up when and how we didn't just give us memories, it gave us skills. Real world, life-enhancing skills that still serve me every single day. Now this video is a little different than my usual ones. If you're new here, this isn't actually a nostalgia channel. I usually talk about midlife reinvention, living authentically, and designing a second chapter that actually feels like our own. But today, I want to talk about 8 things I'm genuinely thankful I experienced growing up Gen X, and how those early lessons taught me to be independent in ways I never fully appreciated until I got older. Be sure to comment if you can relate to any of these. 1, we had to entertain ourselves. The one thing you never said back in the 70s or 80s was that you were bored, because the answer was always, well, then go find something to do. Not only did we have just a few TV channels, but in the summer, at least in my house, you weren't allowed to watch TV during the day. In fact, you weren't even allowed to be in the house during the day. And before I could drive, I spent my time riding my bike around town, stopping by friends' houses to see if they were home, and then figuring out things to do. We had to use our imaginations. The good thing is that to this day, if I have unstructured free time, I never get bored. 2, we handled a lot on our own. We weren't just allowed to be independent, we were expected to be. In first grade, I was walking to and from school on my own. And as I got older, if I had homework to do or after-school sports activities, it was on me to keep track of it all and get it all done on time. Nobody reminded me. By the time I could drive, I maintained my own car. I had to be home by curfew, but nobody was monitoring where I was going and what I was doing. And as long as I showed I was responsible, I was trusted. Being allowed to develop this quiet confidence helped me believe I could manage just about anything. And honestly, in midlife, when you're navigating big transitions, often that you didn't see coming, that sense of, I can handle this, is priceless. 3, we figured things out on our own. The 70s and 80s was a more DIY culture than today, and ironically, we didn't have YouTube or Google to tell us how to do or fix things. Changing the oil, spark plugs, being able to change a flat tire, knowing how to drive a stick shift, were all just normal parts of being a teenager then. And if something broke, you didn't just go buy a new one. You tried to fix it. Trial and error was normal. It wasn't something to be ashamed of. And that built a kind of real-world resourcefulness. These days, especially in midlife reinvention, which often involves things that we didn't see coming, it's not always about knowing what to do. It's often about being willing to figure it out. And it was great to learn that skill early. 4, we had to solve our own disputes. So you got in a fight with your friend or your brother or sister, you worked it out, or you didn't. But no adult was stepping in to be the referee. We learned how to disagree, how to apologize, how to have different views and still get along. That early social resilience shows up in adulthood when you're having hard conversations or setting boundaries, and I'm thankful we had the space to learn it organically. 5, we learned dating and rejection face to face. If you liked someone, you had to actually say something, or call their house and hope their dad didn't answer. There were no curated profiles, disappearing messages, no ghosting. We learned vulnerability the hard way. You put yourself out there, and sometimes it went well, and sometimes it didn't. But you learned to take risks and be real through all the awkwardness. And I think that made our relationship stronger and more human. It also helped us learn social skills and social courage that we wouldn't have learned if we'd stayed home and lived a virtual life. 6, we had privacy to fail. Now, like all kids, we made a lot of dumb mistakes, but they weren't recorded. There were no screenshots, no digital trail. You could mess up, learn the lesson, and move on. You weren't shamed at school the next day. You could hang out with friends and have private conversations. You could kiss the girl. And other than the occasional gossip that humans have always engaged in, you could basically just experiment with life. And that space to evolve without an audience was a gift. It let us build our identities in a more honest way. And in a world where everything is documented now, I'm deeply grateful that our awkward phases could be kept private. 7, we weren't always reachable. You left the house and that was it. No texts, no phone with tracking apps. If you needed to call someone, you found a payphone or you waited to talk to them later. If you made plans, you showed up. If you didn't, you missed it. There wasn't this expectation to be constantly available. That taught us boundaries. It allowed us to trust ourselves and learn to be trusted. And it taught our parents to let go. 8, we managed money early. Some people did lawn mowing or babysitting or had a part-time job after school. I detasseled corn one summer, patched roads and cut brush another, and then worked as an EMT. We didn't earn much, but hey, what we earned was ours. We learned to earn, save, and spend. Money wasn't just numbers on a screen. It was something you worked for. And that gave us a relationship with responsibility that still shapes how I view freedom, work, and self-sufficiency. So when I look back over all of this, what I'm really thankful for is this. We didn't grow up with constant supervision, unlimited choices, or instant answers. And that forced us to become people who could trust ourselves, try things, solve problems, and bounce back. Not everything about that era was great, but the tools it gave us, independence, resilience, real-world connection, those are gifts I still rely on every single day. Please like this video if you liked it. If you're trying to live a more meaningful second chapter, I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel. And if you want to support the channel additionally, super thanks and channel memberships are also available. I appreciate your time. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day.